We can still talk while this is live, though.
No.
I'll shut up then. I got to go now for 10 minutes.
What's the buzz? So long.
Tommy used to work on the docks. Union been on strike. He's down on his luck. It's tough. So tough. Gina works a diner all day. Working for her man. She brings home her bed for she says we gotta hold on to what we got. It doesn't make a difference if we make it or not. We got each other, and that's enough for love. We'll give it a shot. Oh, we're halfway there. I said we gotta hold on. Take my hand. We'll make it, I swear. Oh, we're living on a prayer. Tommy's got his 6th Street in high. Now he's on the mend. When he used to make it talk so tough. It's tough. Gina dreams of running away. She cries in the night time. Baby, it's okay. We gotta hold on to what we got. It doesn't make a difference if we make it or not. We got each other, and that's enough for love. We'll give it a shot. Oh, we're halfway there. Oh, living on a prayer. Take my hand. We'll make it, I swear. Oh, living on a prayer. Living on a prayer. We gotta hold on, ready or not. You live for the fight when that's all that you got. Halfway there. Take my hand, and we'll make it, I swear.
I said a hip hop, the hip me to the hip hop, you don't stop the rockin' to the bang bang. You say up jump the boogie to the rhythm of the boogie to beat. Now what you hear is not a test, I'm rapping to the beat. And me, the groove, and my friends are gonna try to move your feet. You see, I am Wonder Mike, and I like to say hello. Up to the black, to the white, the red, and the brown, the purple, and yellow. But first, I gotta bang bang, boogie to the boogie, say up jump the boogie to the bang bang, boogie, let's rock. You don't stop, rock the rhythm. tell you why. You see, I'm 6'1" and I'm tons of fun, and I dress to a T. You see, I got more clothes than Muhammad Ali, and I dress so viciously. I got bodyguards, I got 2 big cars, and definitely take the whack. I got a Lincoln Continental and a some new Cadillac. So after school, I take a dip in the pool, which is really on the wall. I got a color TV so I can see the Knicks play basketball. Image under my checkbook, credit cards, more money. I've been a sucker to never spend, but I wouldn't give a sucker for a punk. Rockin' out a dime till I made it again. Everybody go, hotel, what you gonna do today? So I'm gonna get a fly girl, gonna get some spring and drive off in a death OJ. Everybody go, hotel, holiday in. Say if your girl starts acting up, then you take her friend. I'm Master G, I'm up mellow. It's on you, so what you gonna do? Well, it's on and on and on and on and on. The beat don't stop until the break of dawn. I said a M-A-S, a T-E-R, a G with a double E. I said I go by the unforgettable name of the man they call a Master G. Well, my name is known all over the world by all the foxy ladies and the pretty girls. I'm going down in history as the baddest rapper that ever could be. Now I'm feeling the highs and you're feeling the lows. The beat starts getting into your toes. You start popping your fingers and stomping your feet and moving your body while you're sitting there, you're sitting there. Damn, you start doing the freak. I said damn, right out of your seat. Then you throw your hands high in the air. You're rocking to the beat, shake it there in air. You're rocking to the beat without a kid. With the suicide MCs for the affair. Now I'm not as tall as the rest of the gang, but I rap to the beat just the same. I got a little face and a pair of rhyme. All I'm here to do, ladies, is hypnotize. Sing it on and on and on and on and on. The beat don't stop until the break of dawn. I sing it on and on and on and on and on like a hot butter. The pop, give it, pop. You don't dare stop or come alive, yo. Give me what you got. I guess by now you can take a hunch and find that I am the baby of the bunch, but that's okay. I still keep it strong, cause all I'm here to do is just wiggle your behind. Sing it on and on and on and on. The beat don't stop until the break of dawn. Sing it on and on and on and on and on. Rock, yo. Do it on the floor. I'm gonna freak you here, I'm gonna freak you there. I'm gonna freak you out of this atmosphere. Cause I'm one of a kind and I'll shock your mind. I put the jig in your behind. I say the 1, 2, 3, 4. Come on, girls. I get on the floor. I come alive, yo. Give me what you got, cause I'm guaranteed to make you rock. I say 1, 2, 3, 4. Tell me what the mic, what are you waiting for? To the hip, hop, the hip, to the hip, the hip, you don't stop. Whatever you want, whatever you like, whatever you say, you pay your money, you take your choice. Whatever you need, whatever you use, whatever you win, whatever you lose, you show enough.
and everything would be the same apart. I can take you home on the midnight train again. I can make an offer you can't refuse. Whatever you want, whatever you like, whatever you say, you pay your money, you take your choice. Whatever you need, whatever you use, whatever you win, whatever you lose, whatever you want. Whatever you want.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Brighouse Town TV for our live Q&A with Bobby Madley. Just before we get started, first I'd like to welcome Bobby to the channel. I'm sure that he'll get quite a lot of questions through. If you have got any questions for Bobby, please do put them in the comments section on our YouTube channel, and we will get them answered for you. Just a bit of housekeeping: if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe as well, and have a bit of a nosy around. We do match highlights, interviews with players, managers, etc. So please have a nose around on that. If you want to give us a follow on our social medias as well, we have Facebook, Instagram and Twitter as well. Bobby, welcome to the channel.
Thank you, mate. Good evening. How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm all right, pal. I'm all right. A bit nervous here. It's always nerve-wracking for a referee when you get people asking questions. It's never a nice one. So, yeah, a bit nervous.
And are you coping over in Norway in this lockdown?
All right, pal. I mean, they're a little bit more open up than the UK at the moment. And obviously, I'm keeping up to date with what's happening in the UK on a daily basis, which is pretty tragic. But yeah, like everybody else, mate, just trying to battle on and keep yourself busy at the moment and trying to stay as safe as we can. So yeah, not an easy time, mate, is it?
So what's the major differences between Norway and the UK at the minute in terms of like the lockdown measures?
Yeah, I mean, Norway's opened up a little bit this week, so the schools have gone back and the clubs and bars are open, which I'm not sure is the best idea. But yeah, so they're allowed a little bit more freedom here now. Social distancing obviously is still in place. But again, people have got to remember, and I see this in the press all the time, how UK hasn't handled this as well as others. Now, there's 5 million people in Norway, and it's a massive country. So in terms of sort of population density, the UK, people live on top of each other a little bit in the UK, so naturally it's going to spread a bit. But yeah, we're trying to open as much as we can here, but as safely as possible. Now, I think we've had 220 deaths in the whole country since this began, which, you know, every one of them is tragic. But in relation to other countries, you know, that's the number's pretty low, so they obviously did a good job pretty quickly here. So
Yeah, excellent.
getting by.
Excellent. I know people have loads of questions about your kind of refereeing career, as that was what you're quite known to be, really. I thought I'd start off just a bit on just your two teams that you've chosen to support around in the Yorkshire area. So we'll start off by keeping it non-league with Ossett United. What is it about Ossett that made you kind of fall in love with that club out of all of them around like the Wakefield area and the West Yorkshire area?
I've got a bit of product placement here as well, because I've got my cup of Yorkshire tea and I've got my Ossett United mug as well. Going to keep me going through this. I mean, I was born in Wakefield, but I grew up in Ossett, so it's my local team. And as a youth player, I played for Huddersfield Town juniors. We had two junior teams. We had a few junior teams actually in Ossett, but two non-league teams, Huddersfield Town and Ossett Albion. And as much as they were big rivals, they were usually in the same league. There was never massive hatred or anything between the two teams. So that was a positive. And then in 2018, we got to the stage. Ossett has about 21,000 people. In terms of football and fans, we're never going to be able to match. We're never going to be Football League Town because we're surrounded by Leeds, Huddersfield, Bradford, Barnsley. You know, we're in a big catchment area for top teams. And financially, the two teams always struggled, you know, just about to get by. 110 fans at each team for their own games. In 2018, the two teams just came together and said, look, why don't we just merge? Why don't we make one team in the town that's going to get people back in it? So they created Ossett United out of the two teams. And it really works. The town bought into it. The people of the town bought into it. And they're getting sort of 450 at their own games now. So I don't know where the rest came from. I mean, if you had 110 and 110, I'm not quite sure how we end up with 450, but it's a good thing. But they marketed it well, mate. And like I said, I think some people are turned away by high prices of professional football, and they're getting to see a decent level of football down at Ossett for a good price as well. A lot of kids walking around the town in Ossett United shirts, which I'd never ever thought I'd see. I think I saw a stat. I think Ossett Albion in their 70-odd year history, they sold like 30 shirts or something like that, whereas Ossett United in the first year sold over 1,000. So again, they bought into it, and I love that non-league. I love the non-league culture. I love non-league football. It's proper football. And if ever I get a chance when I'm over in England, I'm down at Infield watching Ossett United.
Yeah, and they had two kind of different seasons, really. In the first year, they managed to win the County Cup and managed to get into the playoffs as well. And then in the second year, it's kind of just taken a bit of a turn for the worst. What was your thoughts on kind of the last season and why you think it might have taken a turn for the worst?
Yeah, I mean, it was quite well publicised. There was a couple of financial issues with the club. They were taken to court over a matter as well. And we lost a few players. We lost a few of the big players. So some of the guys who really performed for us in that first season, Aidan Chippendale and you know, some top lads. And we lost them. And the fact is we had to bring in players from the youth team who came in and did a really good job. And ultimately where they are in the league when it finished, we were still in the league. And I think all of the fans knew at the start of the season that as much as last year was you know, a massive high of winning the County Cup and getting in the playoffs, realistically we knew that this season was more of survival and just make sure we stay in the division because of everything that had happened over the summer. So yeah, we were disappointed. And again, I think we kept the fan base, which was the important thing. And it's a good opportunity to keep football going in the town. So hopefully we'll come back stronger next year.
Yeah, I'm going to say, because Wayne Ben came in around December time-ish, and he seemed to kind of steady the ship kind of thing when he came into the club. What do you think he needs to do to maybe try aim maybe mid-table next year, or even try go for the playoffs again? Yeah,
I mean, the job that Welshie and Quinney had done as manager and assistant were fantastic. But yeah, it's just a slightly new direction. We're not going to be in a place. The easy answer is to say, you know, buy top players, but we're not in a position as a club to do that. And nobody in the town wants to see us go out and spend money we haven't got, because we want a football team, you know. And especially during these times, there's going to be towns that lose their local football team. That's just sad reality of what's happening. We want to keep a football team, and to be honest, as long as we've got something to watch every week, yeah, we want to win, but we just enjoy that good level of football that we get to see.
Excellent. We'll then talk about your kind of pro team that you've chosen to follow, which is also quite well publicised out there in Huddersfield Town. Quite recently, I've had quite a lot of highs, to be honest, with the playoff final winning year and the 2 years in the Prem. What do you remember of that kind of promotion season?
It's my dad's fault, first of all, that I'm an Huddersfield fan. It wasn't by choice. It's forced upon me. Yeah, I mean, look, you're a town fan as well, and we've spent many years playing in the 3rd division, 4th division at times, and championship. And it's never been easy. It's never been easy as a fan watching. Never make it easy for you as a fan either. But those 2 seasons, certainly that season that Town went up, the hard thing is, I mean, as a kid, I used to go watch Huddersfield all the time. I was there every week, home and away. You become a referee and you can't do that anymore because you're refereeing when they're playing. So you end up following the results. So as much as you still look at the results, you know, you move away a little bit. You become a bit more detached. And yeah, it was just a great journey. It was good fun. It was good fun to see them in the Premier League. And yeah, it's one of those things that I never thought I'd see in my life, to see Huddersfield in Premier League. I'm not sure we ever will again, if I'm honest. Again, it's more important now to establish in the Championship as a club, and then see what they can do from there.
Yeah, because we had those high 2 years in the Prem. Well, one, yeah, that was really good. Obviously, last season weren't that cracking. We've then kind of stabilised a little bit this year when we've come back down. And the Cowleys that have come in, I think personally have done quite a really good job in terms of getting those players out that didn't want to be at the club and getting people in that did. And I think we need a bit more of that at Huddersfield for next season, don't we?
Probably do, mate. And I think the hard thing is nobody really knows where they stand for next season. No club knows where they stand. There's been such a long break now from football finishing to potentially when certainly Football League as to when that will start again. Kind of a level playing field for everybody again. So again, we don't even know what other teams are going to be in the Championship, whether it's going to be the same 24 or whether they change that around and how they do it. I wouldn't want to be the people making the decisions, I would say that. Refereeing and being on the pitch making decisions is tough at times, but I think there's some big, tough decisions to be made in the next few weeks. So keep an eye out on what happens. I'm as interested as everyone else.
Yeah, definitely. We'll now move on to kind of your refereeing background now. Like I say, that's what you're pronounced to be known as, and that's what quite a lot of our audience will be interested in hearing tonight. So first start off with kind of what first got you into refereeing? I mean, there must be some sort of interest maybe as a child that you saw so much a game. Was it not that, or was it something completely different?
Not at all, mate. I hated referees as a kid. When I played, I was a nightmare of a player. I would hate to referee me as a player. Even now, I mean, I just crossed the white line as a player, and I'm just a totally different animal. I don't really like myself on the pitch. I have a horrible desire and need to win. As I got older, I learned how to lose a little bit better than I did when I was younger. So that competitiveness was shocking, really, growing up, and with that drive that I wanted to be a footballer like everybody else. I had a stint at a couple of championship clubs at their school of excellences, and it didn't work out. Whether I wasn't quite good enough to make it at that level or what, or I don't know, whether I didn't have that same desire at that stage. But I played locally. I played for Huddersfield Town Juniors, like I said. I was a decent goal scorer. Got about, I think it was 220 goals or something in 3 seasons. So I was all right. I was decent as a kid. And I got to 16, and I used to give the refs so much hassle every week. And one week, one the old guy who refereed us every week, he said, "Look, you talk nonsense. You don't know what you're talking about." I had a bit of an ego as a kid. Obviously, I thought I knew everything about the game. And he challenged us and just said, "Take the refs course. Become a ref. You never have to ref again. Just take the refs course, and then you can call me what you want." And I had a look into it for 15 quid. Oh yeah, why not? I mean, it's a qualification as well, and just a bit of an ego trip. I can call this guy whatever. Went along to referee course, took Andy, took my brother with us. At that time, there was no practical element to refereeing. It was all on the course. It was just sit down in a pub for 2 hours for 8 weeks, and learn the laws of the game. And at the end of that, do an exam. And suddenly you're a ref. And first time I blew a whistle was in my first game. No one had taught us how to do that. Got given this game, under 13s game at Huddersfield Town Juniors. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it straight away. I kind of took to it. Andy was totally different. He hated refereeing for probably 2 or 3 years. He'll openly admit he only did it for the money. And he's not bad. I mean, he's a FIFA referee now in the Premier League as well, so it worked out all right. But I just really enjoyed it. I kind of fell into it, and I got this bug for it, and I liked the banter on the pitch. I played at a good level, and I think that helps. I don't think you have to have been a good footballer to be a good referee, but I think it helps because it gives you an understanding of what players are thinking and little sneaky things that they might be trying. So that's how I fell in. It was basically challenged by this old guy who said, "You never have to ref a game, just do the course so you learn, what you're talking about." So I actually became a referee by mistake more than anything. It was definitely never a choice of a career or out like that.
Excellent. Like you say, yourself and Andy have managed to get up into the Premier League and into kind of Europe as well. How long did it take you to get that far? Was it just a matter of a couple of years? Did it take quite a long time?
Yeah, there's a lot of levels to go through in refereeing in England, more so now actually than when I started. And I think you start at like level 7 in grassroots football, Sunday morning football, move your way through that. I started at 16 and I was an assistant referee first actually. I was still refereeing at the time at a lower level, but at that time you were refereeing at a semi-pro level and assistant referee in the professional game. So my first Premier League game, actually, I was 23 at the time. ran the line at Hull City against Wigan Athletic. Matt Clattenburg refereed the game, so that was my first game as a Premier League assistant referee, which I did for a season. And then at the end of that season, I'd refereed well. I was refereeing on the conference that season. And I think working with people like Mark and Howard Webb and Martin Atkinson, Michael Oliver, some real top referees there. Mike Dean, if I didn't mention his name there. I think learning from them helped me as a ref. And at the end of that season, I had to make a choice. Do you want to carry on as an assistant referee in the Premier League? Or do you want to potentially be promoted to refereeing in the Football League? So the choice then is, if I'd stayed on the Premier League line, I would probably have gone on the international list. So the choice basically is, do you want to run the line and be an assistant referee at places like Barcelona, Real Madrid, Inter Milan, AC Milan? Or do you want to give that up and referee at Macclesfield and Rochdale and Bury at the time? And to me, I was 24 at that time then, and I loved refereeing. I got a bigger buzz from actually refereeing on the conference. And I knew that's what I wanted to do. So at 24, I had that aim to referee on the Premier League. So that's what I did. I made that choice, and it kind of worked out all right. I think I did 3 years on the Football League, and then obviously was given an opportunity to referee on the Premier League when I was 26. So yeah, it was quite quick. I think that is quite quick in terms of refereeing. It's not the quickest. I think Michael and Ollie and Stuart, I think, were a bit younger than I was when I got on there, but yeah, it is quite quick. You need a bit of luck along the way as well, Damien. It's not just ability. I've made a lot of mistakes in my career. It's how quickly you learn from them and how quickly you can change that and put that into your own game and accept your faults that makes you a better referee. And I think that helped as a young guy as well.
Yeah, I'm going to take you back a little bit now to your first game in like the Europa League or Champions League, as you call it. What was your feelings walking into the game? Because I bet it was a completely different atmosphere compared to what it was like back in England.
Yeah, I mean, my first actual European trip was I was additional assistant referee, so that one where you stand next to the goal, so you stand behind the net, which is an incredibly bizarre experience as a referee, because as a ref, you constantly, either as an assistant you're on the side of the pitch, which you get a full view, or as a referee you're constantly trying to get behind play as it's going forward so that you've got an open view of what's happening and creating angles. As an additional assistant referee, you're actually having play coming at you, which is really bizarre, and you've got nowhere to go. So, and the only decisions you really make as an AAR are penalty decisions and goal decisions, because that's where your area of the pitch is. So you can be doing nothing for 88 minutes, and suddenly you've got this huge penalty or goal decision, so you've got to switch on. Again, you're not moving, and if it's December and you're in Norway, it's cold. So you've got to, So the first game was actually Mike Dean's last European game as an international referee. It was really good to be on that with him. It was a great experience. It was Slovan Liberec in Czech Republic against Sevilla. I don't remember too much about it. I know it rained all night. It was cold. But yeah, the atmospheres when you go to places, especially as a referee, when you go to places like, PAOK in Thessaloniki, Greece, and Fenerbahce and Galatasaray, yeah, it's different. We say that there's some good atmospheres in England, but when you go to places like that, you realise what a crowd atmosphere can be like and how bouncing that can be. So they're different, but they're very good. The hard thing really, mate, is switching from refereeing in England on a Saturday to then refereeing in Greece or Turkey, for instance, on a Wednesday night. Because football is slightly different there, and expectations of fouls are different, and you couldn't referee the guys. It's why they're so good, like Sir Michael Oliver and Anthony Taylor. They can't referee a Champions League game how they would referee a Premier League game. If they did, they'd lose control of it because of expectations of players. So they are pretty talented that they can just change that round and straight away change their style to be able to referee those games successfully.
Yeah, excellent. Bringing it back to England now, I'm sure, as you've seen on the TV, that the Premier League has changed massively in terms of refereeing over the last kind of 3 to 4 years. What was your experience like when you were in the Prem, and would you have liked to ref now when you've got the likes of VAR and things like that?
Yeah, I can think of a few decisions I would have liked VAR on there that would have pulled me out of it a little bit. I'm a bit of a purist when it comes to football, certainly as a fan. I like watching football, and if people make mistakes, they make mistakes, and you get over it. But as a ref, I am slightly different. Obviously, people have the perception that as a referee, you just drive home and don't really care if you make a mistake. You just go back to your normal life and it doesn't bother you, and it couldn't be further from the truth. you make a mistake at a game for the next 2 or 3 days, it's on your mind. You're moping and sulking around the house, and probably a nightmare to live with for a few days. So VAR takes that away a little bit. You still made that mistake. But I want it now. Yeah, I actually think it's been a success, if I'm honest. There's been, all right, with the tight offside calls that we talk about, and the armpit and the shoulder and whatever else. But that's not the referee's fault. The laws of the game say if it's a millimetre offside, it's offside, and referees can't. There is no interpretation on that's black and white. I think that might change a little bit. I don't know how, but it might change a bit. But actually, if you can think of many major errors from last season on the Premier League, huge errors, can't think of too many, because they were changed. There might be errors that were initially made, but actually it didn't affect the outcome of the game because they got changed by VAR. So it's a positive thing. We've only had it for 6 months. People are saying, oh, they don't know how to use it. You've got to remember, this is brand new for the referees as well. This is the first time referees at any level have used it. And you're actually saying to refs, go in and use it at the highest level on the most watched league in the world. Good luck. Not trying this out at us at United in front of 400 people. We're trying it straight away. There you go. You put that into context of Broadway or the West End, because football is basically an entertainment business. That's what it is. People are watching a show. You wouldn't say to the actors on the West End, you wouldn't give them the script and then say, on you go, your first performance of this script is going to be in front of a live audience. They would do rehearsals and practice and practice and practice. And as much as referees can do that, you can never replicate a Premier League game. So to go out there and suddenly have to be thrown into this brand new system that's only 6 months in. Rugby and cricket have had this for 20 years and they're still perfecting it. So to expect that we're just going to have perfection straight away was pretty naive to do that. But I think we're in a good place, and I think it'll only get positive as it goes forward.
Yeah, excellent. I want to take back to one experience of yours in a game. FA Cup third round, Merseyside derby, Liverpool v Everton. The incident where Mason Holgate pushed Firmino over the barrier. Just take us back to that moment and just what you were thinking at the time.
Yeah, look, the Merseyside derby is always an absolute pleasure to referee. It's not the easiest game, as you can imagine, but the atmosphere is tremendous. And it's nice to be trusted with games like that as a referee as well, We're in that corner of the pitch. It's an FA Cup game, which means the away team actually get, I think, 15% of the tickets. Everton have got 8,000 fans in that corner. And it's right between the Liverpool and Everton fans. From where I am, if I'm honest, mate, from where I am, I saw a little push. I've been seeing the video back. I didn't realise Holgate pushed him as hard as he did. And I thought it was just momentum more than anything that carried Firmino into the stand. Obviously, I saw Firmino was enraged and ran back towards him. I got in the middle of them. Not always advisable for referees if they're watching, but I'm 1m88, 89, whatever, 6'1" and a bit. My natural reaction sometimes is to just jump in the middle and try and stop it. In hindsight, I didn't give any yellow cards. I didn't actually give any disciplinary action there. In hindsight, it should have been a yellow card for Firmino for adopting an aggressive attitude for coming back towards him. There's a debate, is it a yellow card or a red card for Holgate because he pushes him into the stands? Personally, I still think it's a yellow. Had there have been a normal advertising board there, as there would at most grounds, it would have stopped his run. It would have just been a push and he would have put his hands on that and it wouldn't have been much. Because there isn't one of them there at that part of Anfield, they go straight into the crowd, which I think makes it look a little worse. I accept that people will say it's a red card. I think it's a yellow card for both players. But in that situation, suddenly you've got something else that's thrown in at you as a referee. That is an allegation of a racist comment that's made. As a ref, that had never happened to me on the pitch before. Obviously, we're trained in terms of the protocol that we go through. And at that situation, my priority is to control the game, keep the players calm, make sure they have trust in me as the referee that I'm going to deal with it properly. I went and spoke to John Moss, who was my fourth man at that time. The television didn't really help us because they said, he's gone to speak to John to ask if he thinks it's a red or yellow card. I wasn't speaking about the incident at all with John. I was just telling him what the allegation was, so that we had a full note of it at that time. Went back and made sure I calmed the players. Basically, I said to Holgate, I haven't heard it. If he wants to take that into his own hands and deal with that, I can't prevent that as a referee. I can't stop a player doing it. But he ends up getting sent off, and that doesn't really help his team. And I can't do anything until after the game anyway. statements and whatever else. And it's tough because it throws in refereeing is not just about making a penalty decision sometimes. You know, you think about how emotive that is. Someone who feels that they've been racially abused. I mean, we saw it. Ian Wright last night put out on Twitter the same comment, shocking comment. And suddenly as a ref, you've got to manage it. In that cauldron of a environment of 55,000 people, a local derby, I have to be honest, mate, 2 yellow cards at that stage were the last of my priorities. So as much as it should have been 2 yellows, my main priority was control the game and make sure that we can get through this with 22 safe players and deal with it at the end. So it's tough. It's not always easy. You know, it's not just about making a decision. It's about managing people. I think probably 80% of successfully refereeing in the Premier League is being able to manage situations and people and keep them calm. You know, in that situation, you have to be that one person who remains calm. Referee cannot lose their head. You can't suddenly start shouting around and getting angry. Inside the body, the stomach's churning. Of course it is. It's a natural human reaction. But, you've got to not just stay calm, but you've got to look calm as well. Because if I don't look calm, the players are not going to trust me. So there's all of these things that you're thinking about at that time under that kind of pressure. You know, I've done some big games. There's guys who've done much bigger games. Look at Howard Webber who did the World Cup final. Under that pressure, I mean, that's intense. That's as intense as it comes in terms of sport.
Excellent. So obviously, like, so you worked your way up through kind of like National League, through the Football League, into the Premier League and into Europe. I'm sure you've come across different kinds of managers that you've been able to get on with, you haven't been able to get on with. And who would you say is the one that you've managed to get on with well? And which one would you say is kind of like one that it's been quite hard to get on with?
If I'm honest, I'm quite you can see I talk a lot anyway. I'm not a quiet person. So I try to engage with managers anyway. I've always tried to have a good relationship with them. You know, when a manager's trying to play on you, every manager will want that 1% over every other manager if they can. And if you think that it's getting on nicely with the referee to do it, they'll try that. As a ref, you don't leave yourself open to it, obviously. But yeah, there's been quite a few managers coming through. I mean, one that sticks out for some reason, David Oldsworth, when he was at Mansfield Town. I was refereeing on the conference. I'd refereed my first season on the conference. I didn't referee well. I went in, I was a little bit naive because it's a big step up to that level from Conference North even. And I was naive in that first season. And David, when I refereed one of his games at Mansfield, actually after the game came and saw us and said, look, that was good. That was as good a refereeing performance as I've seen. And that gave me that little bit of confidence. It wasn't that I was going to go out next time and give him a decision. It gave me a bit of confidence, and you gain that respect from managers because managers don't need to do that. After the game's finished, they go and see their own team, they discuss, they debrief that. It's easy for a manager to come to a referee's room and have a shouting match and blame them. But a manager doesn't need to come to your changing room as a referee and say thank you. And they're the ones that I respect. They're the ones that I had a lot of respect for. So I like to think I got on with most. The fallout with some, personalities clash. It's probably unfair of me, to be honest, to throw names out, certainly of anyone who's currently managing, because obviously I don't want to put myself in a position where, if I end up refereeing one of their teams, that, accusations are made, they don't get on. It's not that I don't get on with a manager. I only ever have a professional relationship. I have no manager's phone, numbers in my phone book. But sometimes personalities just clashed, and that's the case with some. So, not really important to me as to whether I'm liked by a manager. I'd like to be respected as a referee, and then maybe respected as a person as well. But yeah, I like to think I get on with the vast majority of managers that are there.
Excellent. We'll now move to questions from people that have been texting in. We've had quite a lot that's come through. We'll start off with this one. I take it you must have been over towards like the Asian continent, because someone's asked, what's the difference between like the style of refereeing in England compared to over in Asia and Japan?
Yeah, I refereed in Japan in 2011, so we had an exchange program with the JFA, the Japanese Premier League. So I went to Japan for 3 weeks. It was quite a strange time. I just lost my dad, actually. My dad passed away. He had cancer in 2011. This was a few weeks after that. So again, personally, it was quite a difficult time. The season had just finished, and even on a national scale for Japan, it was a difficult time. I think about 10 weeks before we went there, they had the huge tsunami and earthquake that killed tens of thousands of people. So it's quite a strange environment to go into. I refereed 3 games there. The respect for the referees was something I'd never seen before. A standing ovation when you leave the pitch, every game. I was a bit disappointed actually, because I thought that was just for me on my first game. I thought I was good. Didn't realise I did it to the referees on every match. But yeah, the Japanese referees, what you tend to see in different countries, Japan for one, there's a lot of free kicks for things like shirt pulls, little technical fouls that you don't really see that much in England. So you end up with 32, 33 free kicks in a game in Japan, whereas in the Premier League you look at, I think the average is about 21. Which makes a big difference over 90 minutes. You can feel that you're giving a lot of fouls. But some of Japan's produced some top referees. I think fourth official to Howard in the 2010 World Cup was Japanese referee. Nishimura-san, I believe, was the ref. And even now, Sato, the Japanese referee, top prospect. So they produce it's good football as well. It's actually very good technical football. Fans are mental. Full stadiums, the place is rocking. Brilliant place, crazy place, but a brilliant place to referee.
Excellent. We've had a question through from an L Bebington 23 on Twitter, and this one is quite interesting. They've said, "What player were you scared of the most?"
I don't think I've ever been scared of a player, if I'm honest. Like I said, I'm quite tall and quite broad anyway, so that I've never really been physically intimidated by anybody. I really don't think that I would put any player and think, God, I fear refereeing them. The only one who might fall into that bracket, I don't think he'd be really well renowned, was when I was refereeing in Wakefield Sunday League. So that's a long time ago. That's when I was 16 or 17. There was one team I remember who called Street House Village in Wakefield, and they were tough. They were a tough side. They had a guy called Des Brennan, who played at centre-back. Des were probably, mid-40s, maybe nearly 50. Obviously being around the block when it came to playing. Hard as nails. And I was a 16, 17-year-old kid turning up to referee these games, a little bit wet behind the ears and, hope everybody likes me. And then this big Desi Brennan came out, thundering through tackles, screaming at you. And after I'd refereed him 2 or 3 times, I won his respect a little bit. Because I didn't cower to him. I didn't act as if I'd been bullied by him. I wasn't arrogant either. I treated him with respect, and I probably sent him off in nearly every game I refereed. But again, that confidence to be able, for someone like Des to be able to turn around and say, "Yeah, I like you. I like it when you referee us, because we know you're going to be fair. We know you're going to move around the pitch a little bit. And you're going to, you're fit, and you're going to treat me fairly. And even though you send me off every game, I deserve it." So Des was probably the hardest player I ever reffed. I learned so much from refereeing players at the Sunday League level, probably more than I did in terms of man management than I ever have in the professional game. So he's probably the only one. In professional football, they're all all right. They're all pussycats, really.
We also had a question come through from Twitter from a guy called John Devlin, and he's asked, what was the toughest top flight game you ever did, and why was it so tough, and could you have done something different to make the game go smoother?
Good old John. I know John. Speak to John quite regularly. I expected a worse question than that, so I'll take that from him. One sticks out. Probably 2 actually that stick out a little bit. And it was ones that I got more criticism for than anything else. During the game, the first one probably Sunderland against Newcastle, which again is a huge derby. I sent off Fabrizio Colaccini late in the first half. Newcastle had actually had the better of the first half. It was 0-0 at the time, about 42nd minute. And Sunderland went through. Colaccini comes across and nudges, can't remember the attacker, but nudges him out of the way. I give a penalty kick. I still think it's a penalty kick. He doesn't try to play the ball. But then I send him off for a denial of an obvious goal scoring opportunity. I'd made my mind up a little bit too quick, rather than just looking and taking a step back and what's happening, how far away is the keeper. The keeper probably would have got the ball. And I sent him off. Sunderland scored, went on to win 3-0. And that was when I looked back on and thought, if I'd have just spoke to my assistant or just not been blinkered as to that mindset of, oh, if he fouls me, it's going to be a red card. The dangerous thing as a referee, if you start making a decision before the actual incident's happened, you can leave yourself in a world of trouble then. So it didn't go well. Big learning curve, learned a lot from it. Probably the biggest one though was Boxing Day a few years ago at Bournemouth. Bournemouth and West Ham, I didn't actually have a game that day. One of the referees, I think Stuart Atwell's, his missus went into labour. So I ended up picking the game up on Christmas Eve, which meant Christmas Day I have to drive down to Bournemouth, 5 hours in the hotel, not much preparation for the game, not ideal preparation. And I just didn't ref well. I just didn't referee well for whatever reason. Sometimes you just see, you're playing cricket and you're batting, you see the ball, it's like a beach ball that you're looking at. You look like you can see it, whereas sometimes there's games where you feel like if you're playing cricket, you're playing a table tennis ball, you're getting little throw-ins wrong and you can't understand why. You're not getting in the right positions that you know you should be in, and again you start questioning that on the pitch. What's up with me today? Why aren't I getting it right? I gave a yellow card to Simon Francis. He's gone for a kick over his head and he's kicked Kouyaté full in the face. And I've yellow carded and not red carded, and I can't to this day explain why I went yellow and not red on it. And then the last minute, West Ham are 3-2 up. It's near the bottom of the league. It's Christmas, so it's a crucial time when clubs want to pick points up. Ball comes across, gets headed back across the goal by Nathan Ake. And from where I am, I've got a load of players in between. I can't actually see the back of the net. I just saw the ball drop into the net, which looks a perfectly good goal. And you can see if you watch it back, I actually give the goal. Just put my arm out and give the goal because it just looks like it goes from Ake's head and goes in. West Ham players ran at me, which surprised me a little bit. They ran at me shouting he's offside, which Nathan Ake didn't look offside from me, and I didn't know what they were talking about. The assistant put his flag up and said we need to talk, and we've discussed that. It's not best practice for an assistant to put the flag up because the perception to everyone else is that when the flag goes up, that means it's offside. And he didn't. He put the flag up to get my attention, which obviously we've got microphones, so he didn't need to do. We need to talk. And as I'm going across, it didn't feel right. Something didn't feel right, but I had no idea what had happened. I went across to the assistant and said, did Callum Wilson touch the ball? Total curveball. No idea where Callum Wilson was stood, didn't see Callum Wilson. I said, I haven't got a clue. He said, if Callum Wilson's touched the ball and put it in, it's offside. If he hasn't, it's a goal. I don't even remember seeing Callum Wilson. I said, I haven't got a clue. I can't help you. So as reply, in that case, you have to give the goal. So I give the goal. Everybody's perception then is that I've overruled an offside, which I didn't do that. And then to make it worse, the player had actually put it in with his hand. So just to compound a little bit. So that was tough drive home, mate. 5 hours at Christmas, spoilt me Christmas. But I didn't ref well. I got unlucky there. That's one of those decisions I would have wanted VAR on because it would have bailed me out straight away. Throughout that game, it kind of built up to a decision that, although it was out of my hands, I knew I hadn't refed well. And I knew, for whatever reason, it was a battle to get through that game. So that's probably the toughest one. Probably the one I've learned most from as well as a ref.
Excellent. Craig Ingham Free on Twitter, he's asked you, talent-wise, who was the best player that you've sent off?
Random, wasn't it? Best one I've sent off? I don't remember me sendings off, mate. I don't keep a tally. I'm not on commission for them. So it's no real interest to me. If it's a red card, it's a red card. And people say, who's the most famous player you sent off? I haven't got a clue. I really don't know. The most talented player, I mean, they're all talented. They're Premier League players for a reason, aren't they? Some players will just go in. I can't say I've sent people off for something that I think is pure malice. Most red cards are certainly not meant by the player, but it happens. A high foot tackle or whatever else to go for the ball, but they're just going too strong. So red cards are not my concern. If I have to do it, I have to do it. My job is not to be popular as a referee. If anyone gets into refereeing to be popular, they're slowly misguided, I'm afraid, because you're not going to be the most popular person in the ground. But as anything, you have to be strong, and if it's a yellow card, it's a yellow card. Excuse me. If it's a red, it's a red. Doesn't matter what player it is, whether it's a Sunday League player or whether it's a golden boot winner. So yeah, I don't know. I couldn't answer that one. It's the best one I could send off.
So now moving over to our questions from YouTube. First one is Lyndon Jacks. They've asked, if you have one regret in your referee career, what is it?
I mean, probably well documented, mate. I mean, the ironic thing is it wasn't really in my refereeing career that the regret comes. It just ended my refereeing career, sadly. Or certainly that part of it. Again, it's been documented well. I'm happy to talk about it because I think it's important to do that, to get that message across to other people. I sent a dark joke and humour. Sorry, man, just going off that. I'm all right. I'm not infectious. It's good. I sent a dark joke to one person, a private joke, which was out of context, shocking, in context, not funny. And it came back to bite me. You know, people will say, "Oh, the only regret you had is that you got caught." No, not really. You know, that's just one of those things that it wasn't a matter of getting caught. I sent something to someone that I trusted, and I'm not going to blame someone else. I let myself down. And basically, it came back that it was deemed to be discriminatory. I accepted that from day one. That's out of context exactly how it looked. The decision was made to finish my refereeing career as a result of it. Which again I accepted. I didn't challenge that. I didn't feel that. And then it was a matter for me of trying to rebuild not just my refereeing career, but rebuild my life. Hence the reason I'm in Norway. You know, my partner was Norwegian. Still had a place to live over here. She's a nurse, so again she had a job over here. So it thankfully worked out a little bit that I could have moved over to Norway and get on with my life. And it was a tough time. You know, it was a really, really difficult time. As I said before, I've always said I've made some poor decisions on the pitch as a referee, but the worst decision in refereeing as such that I've made was one that I made off it. Massive learning curve from that. Because again, what I did take from that is, you know, one person's humour is another person's pain and hurt. And yeah, I can learn from that. I can take from that. I've been given the opportunity, obviously, to referee again in England whenever this restarts. I'm really grateful for. I think it's important that if you hold your hands up and you accept that you make that mistake, I think second chances should always be on the table in that case. So, yeah, as I said, I don't hide behind it. I don't look for excuses. I certainly don't look for sympathy. It has been a tough time. Mentally, it's been pretty destructive. So I've had to rebuild me again, not just my life. And I've had to find myself a little bit and go to dark places to do that. But I've done it, and that's where your friends and family really come in and shine through strong. You know, Andy's been great, and my mum, obviously, and my partner, Jenny. But there's been a lot of people, it's not just us, a lot of people within the refereeing world as well who've sort of stuck by us, never sought to throw anybody under the bus, whether that be employers or the person who sent this. I think the main thing is you have to take the responsibility for your own actions, and I've learned a lot from that. I think it puts football into perspective a lot from me, and I think it shows how on a knife edge everybody's career is. Certainly as a ref, people expect you to uphold the highest standards, and I failed to do that. And I paid the penalty and paid the consequences for it. Did I learn from it? Massively. Will I come back stronger for it as a person? Absolutely. Will I be a better referee? I don't know. Some people will tell you I don't got much to beat, to be fair. So we'll see. Yeah, but yeah, that's. I said I made some poor decisions on the pitch that were unlucky or just bad judgment, but that was probably the worst one I've made.
Tracy Jackson, she asks, "Hi Bobby, what's your biggest tip you would give to young referees?"
Hello Tracy. Hello Rianne as well. I know Rianne's a daughter who's a referee as well, and has come through difficult stuff as well. So I got an opportunity to meet Tracy and Rianne. Actually, it's always nice to meet young referees and just be able to give them that little bit of advice. And I think main thing for refs, a lot of young referees start now, Damien, and they want to ref the FA Cup final tomorrow. You know, rather than, like I said, doing those hard yards in the Sunday League and the Saturday League, which is without doubt, those are new football, the hardest levels to referee, without a doubt. It can be pretty lonely there. You're on your own. Got nobody to bounce off. So really get as much experience in that level as you can. Every game is an experience. whether that's good or bad, you're going to learn something from it. If you're open-minded enough, you'll learn something from it. And just try to be better in the next game. That's the main thing. As a ref, you never win 3 points. So as someone who came from being incredibly competitive, and I still am in everything I do, if a quiz, I want to win it. So the fact that I go out and referee a game and I technically can't win, can't get 3 points, I have nothing to show for a good performance other than my own honesty and being able to say, yeah, I put everything into that game. I might have got unlucky. And if I did do something wrong, can I learn from that? And if young referees can do that, the problem we have, this might be a little controversial now. I was brought up with this notion of no referee, no game. If there's no referee, there's no football. So I think sometimes referees go out with that attitude. You need me here. Where's the red carpet? Most important people in the game. And I really, even when I come back to England now, I want us to move away from that. Because as we're seeing at the moment, there are going to be clubs that fold. Referees will still ref. And we're not going to lose referees as a result of this financial bit for the FA. And refs will still be there to ref. But if you don't have clubs to referee, you may as well not bother being a ref. So this notion that without a referee, there is no game, I think we have to move away from. And young referees, please don't ever get that in your head. Don't go out with that mindset of you being the most important person. We have to remember that referees at that level are the only people who actually get paid. Nearly everybody there who's on that day is out of pocket. Most people will be paying to play. The one person who walks away with any money that day is a referee. It might be 20 quid, 25 quid, but it's something. So to have the attitude then of everybody just bow down to me because I'm a ref, you earn that. You have to earn that respect. You earn that by respecting people. And I see people complaining on Facebook that changing rooms were dirty. Okay, take a brush. If you don't want a dirty changing room, take a brush and clean it. As simple as that. None of your games are at home as a ref. You are always away from home. So therefore, you're always a visitor. I wouldn't walk into someone's house with muddy boots. So I would always walk into a club with respect, go find somebody, shake hands. I don't expect a welcoming party for me as a referee. Why should they? They've got more things to concentrate on. Go and find somebody at the club. Say hello, introduce yourself, and build that reputation up as an approachable person and then a good referee. Because you'll be respected more for being the person that you are rather than just for making penalty decisions as a ref. Certainly as a young referee. Building a positive reputation in a league is a massive thing.
Excellent. We had Ricky Ansher ask, do you ever think you'll get back to FIFA level, and have you ever done a professional game with Andy?
The first one I don't know. I'd love to. When I go back, I'll be officiating in the Football League, so League 1 and 2. I'm excited to go back and referee in England. I've had a great time refereeing here in Norway. Very different. But I'll be on League 1 and 2. I will have no favours done for me. I have to work hard. If I finish top of the referees list, I'd like to think I'll have an opportunity to move up to the Championship. If I finish top of the Championship, I'd like to think I'd have an opportunity and so on. So I think the door's open. But that's not just going to be handed to me on a plate because I was there before. I let myself down. I have to build that trust back up on and off the pitch again. But I have confidence. I have confidence in myself that I've done it before and I know what it takes and I know how hard it is to do. And it's just a matter of being prepared to do that again. To work hard again. I love going to a load of different clubs. So even when I was a Premier League referee, I loved going and doing Football League games. So I'm dead excited. I'm dead excited to go to places next season that I haven't been to for a while. And do that again. And that challenge to, can you get back to where you were? It's a really good challenge to have. I like that. So we'll see. I hope so. As for the second bit, have I worked with Andy? Yeah, I think we did 2 games together actually in professional football. One was his first game as an assistant referee on the Football League. I'd been on the Football League for half a year before he got promoted on. We went to Macclesfield and Bradford. I think we were both assistant referee on the game, so we've got a nice photograph of that somewhere. And then I think he was my 4th official at, I think it was Bury. It was a night game at Bury. I can't remember who they played. But he was my 4th man on that one. So that's the only twice we've worked together. So again, I never thought I'd have an opportunity to work with him again. But now to potentially have that opportunity to get back on the Premier League list is a nice goal to have. To get back on the FIFA list will be a bonus to any referee. But that opportunity to work with Andy on a game is actually something that will motivate and drive me a little bit more now, I think. So yeah, we'll see. Twice, hopefully more than that.
Oh, I want a special message from Andy, saying, "Ask Bobby why he's not as good looking as his brother."
Well, he's 2 years older than me. He's obviously grown into his looks a little bit more. He's a good-looking lad, is Andy. He's obviously shaved his head a little bit now, and he's grown this beard. He's gone for the Viking look now. I don't know if you've seen him now, but his face is about that wide because of his beard. He might be best-looking lad. He's good actually. He's the second best referee in his family, so he's it's not a bad thing to have. He should be proud of himself for that.
A question on YouTube. This is from Jevon. He's asked, "What was the easiest promotion you achieved?"
None. Genuinely none. You have to work hard for every promotion. Whether you're promoted from 7 to 6 as a referee, so within grassroots football, or from Football League to Premier League, you've got to earn it. You asked about messages to go out to young referees. Don't think just because you're 18-year-old that you're going to be a FIFA referee. It ain't going to happen. You've got to work hard. When I was doing Sunday League or Saturday and Sunday League at grassroots level, some referees are doing 20 games a season and wanting being promoted, young guys. I was doing 120, 130 every season, 2 on a Saturday, 3 on a Sunday, and trying to learn from every game. And that's where the commitment comes in. At 18, I was quite tall as a young lad, so again, I wouldn't advocate to any young referees, but at 16, 17, I could get into a pub. I was tall enough. I looked old enough. By the time I got to 18, I stopped going out because I had a game on a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning. And I wanted to take that seriously. I was 2 years into refereeing then. I wanted to be professional about it. And it paid off because within 5 years, I walked out with Mark Clattenburg on a Premier League game. So the opportunities are there, but you've got to earn it. You've got to work hard. It's not just about on the pitch. As I've proved in the last 18 months, it doesn't matter how good a referee you are on the pitch. If you get it wrong off the pitch, it ain't good enough. That can finish you as a ref. So similarly, if you're a nice guy off the pitch and you're not the best of referees and not willing to learn from your mistakes on it, again, you're not going to get promoted. So there are no easy promotions, none. So don't let referees go in with that attitude. Earn them and be proud of every one of them as well.
Excellent. I think we've had a question off one of your mates, yeah? If you remember him, Mick Ledbetter.
It's of Mick Ledbetter. He's no mate of mine. Yeah, he's no mate of mine.
He said, when you did wakey matches, who did you hate to referee?
I didn't hate anyone as much as I hated Mick Ledbetter, to be honest. So I didn't hate. I don't think I hated refereeing any of them. I mentioned Desi and Streethouse, but I actually loved the challenge of refereeing them. But those kind of players, and even now I enjoy refereeing tough players, people you've got to work hard with. Ones that you've got to earn the respect of. I still quite like that. So I wouldn't say there anyone in there that would overly. I hated to ref. I enjoyed refereeing majority of players on there, and if I have a chance, I still go back and referee. Certainly when I'm back in England now, I'm happy on a Sunday morning to get the books out and go and referee in Wakey League on a Sunday morning. I've done it where I've refed a Premier League game on a Saturday and then done an under-14s junior county cup game on a Sunday because there were no ref to cover it. Football is football to me, so I love all that. So you might see me back gracing the Wakefield Sunday League sooner than soon. Nick would be disappointed actually if I didn't point out that he claims to have won referee of the year in like West Yorkshire League for the last 85 years or something like that, which is possible, but. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I think he's past it now, mate, to be honest. It's time for him to hang his whistle. Don't tell him I said that.
Nathan Matic, he's asked, which is your favourite stadium to officiate at and why?
Oh, it is. Evening, Nathan. I'm the top lad. I actually quite like the older stadiums, My old favourite one was Chesterfield at Old Saltergate. because it felt like proper football. It's the stadium they use on the Damned United, actually, on the Leeds United for Brian Clough. And I loved that stadium. It were all wooden seats, it were all terracing at back. And the newer stadiums kind of lose a little bit of character. They lose atmosphere because everybody's got to sit down. It kind of just, you only ever see the bottom 3 rows of the crowd anyway, so you don't notice when there's 80,000 people there most of the time. But I always liked refereeing at older school, so probably most of the teams in the conference I would come up with. Those kinds, so Chesterfield's old stadium. Sometimes the smaller the stadium, the better. Accrington Stanley's always a good place to ref. It's a tiny, tiny referees room. A bit cold in winter as well. They just got a bit of character and a bit of feeling about those grounds. So, yeah, I'd probably one of those. I couldn't name a specific favourite. I suppose Wembley I'd have to throw in as a favourite one, but that's just dropping one a little bit in it. But Wembley never gets boring. Wembley's one of those that you just get chills every time you officiate there. So if I had to choose one, I'd probably say Wembley. Or Thorns Park in Wakefield, one or two.
Rachel Miller asks, what's your favourite game you've ever officiated?
That's a good question. I've probably got a couple. One was the County Cup final a few years ago, which it's easier to throw out big name teams and try and look big time on that. But County Cup final, Tadcaster Albion against Farsley Celtic. I was a FIFA referee at the time, and I was appointed to referee that game. And it's more of an honour than anything because your county has recognised you as to be able to represent the rest of the referees in West Yorkshire and West Riding. So that was a huge honour for me. I got as much chills walking out in front of, I don't know, were there 600, 700 people there at the Albion, as I would have at any Premier League game because I saw it as a huge honour. The most pressure I've probably ever felt building up to a game was the Championship playoff final between Sheff Wednesday and Hull. Obviously, I'm from West Yorkshire, Sheff Wednesday is South Yorkshire, Hull, East Riding of Yorkshire. So, 2 local teams to me. To do that game knowing that it's financially the biggest game in the world, it's 180 to 200 million for the winner. As a ref, you just don't want to have an effect on the game. You want to sit in the background, deal with what you have to deal with, be prepared to deal with a red card in the first minute if you have to, but you don't want to be 1-0 last minute wrong penalty. So building up to that game, I could feel nerves. I spoke with the psychologist and spoke with colleagues and people like Martin Atkinson, Michael Oliver about dealing with that big environment, big game occasion. Thankfully, it went well. I don't remember anything about the game. I remember the fact it went out for a goal kick and I knew at that stage I was ready to blow full time. That's all I remember of the game because you're concentrating that hard. So that was probably the most enjoyable experience, but more of an after thing. You don't really have time to enjoy the game as they're going on, Damien, to be honest, on the Premier League. You're concentrating that hard on everything. Very rarely do you sit back and think, oh, this is brilliant. Because the moment you do that, you lose focus, you get a penalty wrong, and trust me, it's not brilliant anymore then as a referee. So, yeah, but in afterthought, probably the Championship playoff final. That was a proud moment.
Excellent. A close mate of mine has asked a question I think you'll know him quite well as well, Jason Miller. What's the best club for referee hospitality?
City United. There is only one answer to that. They're all good, mate. They're all very good. Some of the non-league clubs are tremendous. Now probably more so than they used to be. We used to go to Droylsden, who I think are in one of the Evo Stick Leagues, I think. Used to go to Droylsden. Before the game, they'd have a towel ready for you, a packet of chewing gum, Lucozade, and a Mars bar, the programme. And it's not much. It didn't cost much. It didn't cost them much. But that level of hospitality, again, it's not going to buy them a penalty. It's not going to buy them anything during the game, but it's just nice to feel respected as a referee. Most of the clubs that you go to, Football League, Premier League, you're looked after really well. You'll have some food before the game. You always have hot food after the game. And you're made very welcome. It's not a hostile environment as a referee. You're respected. I've always said there's more respect given to, that I certainly felt more respect from players and managers in the Premier League than at any level. And as much as the perception is that referees just get dogs abuse all the time, the respect levels are actually really high when it comes to professional football, so that makes it a little bit easier.
Excellent. M. Taylor has said, "Hi, what advice would you give to female officials going up in the men's game?"
Yeah, I mean, you look at some of the females who are really making their way now. Rebecca Welch, who's on the conference, really talented referee. Sam Massey-Ellis obviously has been a Premier League assistant referee for years now. I don't think it's that big an issue anymore, if I'm honest with you. I think it was once. I think it was seen as this incredible achievement when Sian got onto the Premier League. Now Sian's just seen as a Premier League assistant referee, and rightly so. If female referees are good enough, they'll go up. And there's some really talented female officials that are out there now. As I said, Rebecca probably is the next one that has the best opportunity within the next year or two or whatever to get onto the Football League list. I don't think there's ever been a female referee on the Football League, so that would be a first. But the good thing is players don't turn up and look and have this female refereeing anymore and go, what's she doing here? There's none of this 1960s, why isn't she in the kitchen? Rightly so, they see them in a referee's kit and they treat them as a referee. And if they're good enough, if female referees are good enough, then they've got every opportunity to go up and do it. So be confident in that. I think there is a women's pathway that are there as well to go up to the Women's Super League, which again is a professional league now. So the opportunities for the female officials is great. But, again, there are no favours in refereeing. You've got to earn your place. So if they're good enough, they'll find their way up.
Excellent. Another name that you might know of quite well, Sean McMorran. He said...
Sean.
He said, tell us about the Premier League game at Southampton. I believe it was your first, and there were 3 red cards. Yeah,
in fact, I used to run the line to Sean on the Northern Counties, and it was more carnage in any of Sean's game than that 3 red cards. Yeah, first Premier League game. I mean, I was a Football League ref at the time. I'd had no real heads up that I was going to referee a Premier League game. So the fixtures come through on a Monday by email. And I was sat at work at West Riding County FA at the time. And the email came through 4 o'clock on Monday. You're going to referee the game at the weekend. So I'd obviously excited. 3:59, 4 o'clock. The email always drops bang on 4. Opened it up. Where am I going? No fixture. No Football League game. I was a bit disappointed. Obviously, I didn't get the Premier League fixtures that came through then. I got the Football League one. 2 minutes later, the Premier League appointments dropped. And I'd opened them up and see who was going where, out of interest. Opened it up and saw that I was refereeing Southampton against West Brom. So that was a good cure for constipation straight away. I'll tell you now, that would have been, the nerves kicked in very quickly then. And I saw that I had Phil Dowd as my 4th official, and Phil, massively experienced referee. Mike Malarkey as my assistant referee, who'd just done the World Cup final as an assistant. So it was a bit intimidating. Build up to the game, I spoke to everyone that I could, all the other refs. Obviously, I'm good friends with a lot of the guys anyway. And I drove down, and you're not wanting a particular result. What you don't want is people talking about you, and you spend your life as a kid dreaming of being on Match of the Day, and suddenly, as a player, and suddenly you realise you're going to be on Match of the Day as a referee, and that's quite scary, because we've seen when referees are on Match of the Day, very rarely they're highlighted as being, a positive performance. It's usually because you make a mistake. So I didn't want to be on Match of the Day. I hoped that nothing happened in the game and it was last on and everyone had gone to bed by the time it was on. I ended up with 3 red cards in the match, and the first one, Gaston Ramirez throws an elbow at Shane Long. I'm processing it, I see it, make my decision. By the time I've done that, Marc-Antoine Fortuné pushes someone in the face. So then I'm going, that's another red. Right, okay, let's go red, get on with it. And then the tackle goes in 10 minutes later. Cox, I think it was, for Southampton, he puts the tackle in. Danny Fox, not Cox. And he just puts a 2-foot tackle in. And I was in a good position. And I said earlier, you need that little bit of luck to referee, to be able to move up the pyramid. And that was probably my bit of luck. 3 red cards were correct. Positive stuff that came as a result of it. The hard thing as a ref is to deal with that, because no one really teaches you how to deal with positive news. You grow a thick skin to deal with negative stuff. So yeah, the hard thing then is not believing that you've made it, that you're the best referee in the world suddenly, because your world can come crashing down very, very quickly on one decision. You're only as good as your next decision as a referee, not your last one. You'll only be remembered for your next decision. So to keep that in mind. Again, it's a fickle sport. Same people that turned out saying, "Wow, this 26-year-old referee, he's going to be the best ref within the next game," and you get a penalty wrong in the last minute. Oh, he's too inexperienced. He's not good enough. Same people. So, you can't be too naive as a ref. You get crucified for a wrong decision. Luckily, that day, three red cards went correct and helped me out.
Excellent. There's kind of a bit of a combined one that's come through here, so I'll give them both a shout out. And there's Mr. Sowerby and Matthew Campbell. And I'll say Matthew's question because it kind of sums it up a bit more. If you could put a boy band together out of the referees you've worked with, who would it be? Who would be in your boy band? Wow,
that's a right question, isn't it? I would have to have. I mean, John Moss is the music man. John's got his own music shop. Actually, he's got his own record shop. So John's the musician. I actually think he used to be in a band. Actually, John, when he was a bit younger. So Mossy would be in there, probably on lead guitar. Andy plays a bit of guitar as well, so I might have him just strumming on a little bass. Do you know what? I think I'd take lead vocals. I think I would have to do vocals on that one. As long as it's country music, I could do a bit of singing on that. I've been known to smash a bit of karaoke out in my time. Drums, you've got to have someone who's a bit mad on drums, haven't you? You're prepared to kick them over and just be a bit mad. So probably Dino. You got to have Mike Dean in your band, haven't you?
No, I've not heard it. No.
Who?
Mike Dean.
You've got to have Mike Dean in your band. You've got to have him. I'd have him on drums. I'd have him doing like Bez used to, just standing there shaking a tambourine just for him to be in my band. That's all I'd want. But yeah, that's some of the standard of music. I have to say from the guys who would play music in the changing room before the games. Some of the standards is pretty low. Some of it's pretty tragic.
Well, you have to name and shame now, Bobby. You have to
I'm happy to. I'm more than happy to. So Mossy's always got a top mix. He's always got a bit of Pigeon Detectives, and he likes his sort of indie style music. So it's a good change room to be in his Mossy's. Kevin Friends is like having an evening with Tiesto. This is just like hard house, dance, trance. Not my kind of music at all. So that's, as soon as I'm happy to go out and change room when a friend is repping it. I think Lee Mason has to have a questionable one. It's a bit of Everly Brothers and a bit of slow stuff. I do like some of his stuff, to be fair, but not really changing room stuff. Don't get me up for it. But yeah, I think Mossy definitely has best play mix. He's got to be up there with best one. A couple of them obviously have they have songs that they'll put on just to get them into focus. Martin Atkinson has an Oasis one that he'll put on 4 minutes before we leave the change room. So again, he knows that that's his time to focus into that. And that's quite good. Mine is very chilled. I usually email my assistants in the week and just say, pick 3 songs each. I'll stick it on a playlist and put some songs together so everybody's got a little bit on there. Just nice to have a bit of music in the change room before. But yeah, a referee band. Can you imagine? It's quite a scary thought, isn't it?
Go on then. If you could think of a band, of officials in West Yorkshire, from National League down, who would you pick in your boy band from there?
Jeez, a boy band. Jamie Waters would be one. Jamie's a level 3 referee, Jamie. He's boy band. And then other than them, I'd have Matt Sowerby. He'd be in there because you've got to have someone with a stupid haircut. Matt and Sam Barrett, who's a conference referee now. Sam's local. He's gone blonde. So he's gone for Eminem look at the moment. Again, I've used the word tragic, but I can't use tragic enough when it comes to Sam's haircut. So yeah, there's a few in there that I could put in. I'm not sure what kind of music they come out with though. I'd like to think the referee's a bit better than in the music that they'd perform. It wouldn't be pretty. It wouldn't be a pretty band.
Matt Salvy's actually asked, is a semi-final worthy of celebrating?
Who's asked that?
Matt Sowerby.
Well, Matt's a Leeds fan, so I suppose Matt would say it is. He would say so. I speak to Matt a lot, and he does bring up a Champions League semi-final quite a lot, as to tell me that he's the biggest fan I've ever been in. Remind him that we've won a few finals recently ourselves. But There's a semi-final. Doesn't matter, does it? As a referee, every game's worth celebrating. I'll play the sit on the fence answer on that one. I'll message him in a minute and give him the real answer.
Kyle Jones has asked, what's the best piece of advice you've received coming through?
Quit. I just never followed it. The best bit of advice is be honest. Be honest with yourself. Don't look to blame other people. I was assistant referee at Sunderland and Liverpool when someone decided to throw a beach ball on. So I was only young then. I was only on my second or third Premier League game. And I learned so much from that because Mike Jones refereed the game that day. Mike wasn't a massively established Premier League referee at the time. I was inexperienced as a Premier League assistant referee. It would have been dead easy for Mike Jones as the referee to try and pin the blame on someone else. And he didn't. He didn't do that. He stood forward and he said, as a referee, yeah, as a team, we've made the mistake. None of us saw hit this beach ball. But as referee, I carry the can for that. And that's something I've taken with me through my career. I've always, even if it's an assistant who's got an offside wrong, as a referee, I accept I take responsibility for the team. We talk about it and we pick each other up, and I don't blame anyone on my team. And that's something I carried through. So if I could give any advice, it would be that. Never look to blame. I've sat in situations where I've had referees before the assessor is coming after the game, where referees have virtually told people that, right, you're going to take the blame for this. And you just sit thinking, wow, how can you do that? How can you expect someone to respect you if you're going to do that just to look after yourself? So as a ref, that's probably best advice. Probably the best advice. Be honest and take it on the chin when you're leading your team.
Excellent. Mark Finley has said, so you've named your boy band. What would you call the band?
Wrong Direction. I tell you what, I wish I'd have been given an heads up on this first. I could have sounded clever and just bring some off to the pen, couldn't I? Do you know what? I don't even want to think of Mark Finley in the band, to be honest. I think that would scare me to death. Seeing him ref, who knows what it would be like with a guitar in his hand. Had enough with a whistle.
Question that I wrote down is, so is there a certain captain, whether that will be, like I say, growing up in grassroots football, conference, football league, Premier League, or in Europe, in which you've kind of got on with really, really well, and you felt like, oh yeah, I can't wait to get back to working with you again on the football pitch? No,
not really, mate. Certainly not in professional football, because it's always a professional relationship. There are captains who are great to work with on the pitch. John O'Shea was always tremendous to work with on the pitch, because he'd help out. Joey Barton as a captain was always brilliant, because if you had an issue, he would go and sort it. But you're under no illusions as a referee. Naivety would kick in if you start believing that we're friends, because the moment that it's me or them, they're going to chuck me under the bus straight away. They're going to look after themselves. They're not going to majority are not going to walk into their manager and say, oh no, ref, we're right, it was my fault. So we can't be naive. The hard thing is that, as I said, I played football as a young lad. I played with guys who ended up as footballers. Got Drew Talbot, who was at Sheffield Wednesday, at Chesterfield now, I think. Played with Drew when I was younger. Nick Hegarty, I played with him as a kid. He ended up at Grimsby Town. Nicky Rowe ended up at Swindon and Preston, or Torquay and Preston. So you're refereeing players. Richard Wood, again, who's skipper at Rotherham. I went to school with Richard. Woody was a year above me. I played in the same football team as a kid. You can't take that onto the pitch. If it's a red card, it's a red card. Doesn't matter who it is. So you can't be naive as a ref. I like to think I got on with captains as much as possible, but if they didn't want to get on with me, that's fine. I'd have respected that. I wouldn't then go looking for trouble.
Excellent. Luke Swindon has said, now then, Bobby, hope you and your family are keeping well and safe. Any chance of seeing you at the Ossett v Brighouse game next season?
It depends when it is, mate, and it depends when my game is. I mean, if I'm free and I haven't got anything, I'll be at the Ossett games as much as possible, and Swindon can pour me a can in the supporters bar as well. I will certainly do my best. I mean, Ossett Brighouse is always a really good game. Over the last few years, I've had some great games against you guys. And the goalkeeper's gone, is that right?
Jordan?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jordan's gone.
George. Our own George. We call him George at Ossett United. We're disappointed that he's gone. So yeah, I'll still be down at Ossett United as much as possible home and away. You know, when I've got a free weekend, so they'll be seeing me down there, I'm sure.
Excellent. Not got much more coming through now, so I think we'll leave it there, Bobby. Thanks for joining us. We got going there for a good hour and a quarter, and we managed to talk about quite a lot of good stuff there, I think.
All good. Pleasure. It's been a pleasure tonight, mate, and good to see you again. Stay safe, Daniel.
Yeah, you too, yeah. All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Tomorrow we've got Matt Glennon on, who is a former Halifax goalkeeper and Huddersfield, so if you want to come on and listen to another Q&A, we've got Matt Glennon coming on same time, 7:30, on the Brighouse Town YouTube channel. Once again, Bobby, thanks for joining us.
Cheers, mate. Take care.
We're off. Perfect.